Excellent. Thank you so much. Um, Part of the reason we wanted to have this congregational forum is that we have put the name choice vote into the annual meeting. And the annual meeting is kind of a full agenda. So it doesn't mean there can't be conversation, but we wanted to give people almost like a bridge, a time to settle in a little bit, to hear from one another, um, stop for a moment and be together. Um, that is why we are here together today. Katie, can you hit the next slide? So on was it last Tuesday, 2 Tuesdays ago? I can't remember. Time is really a blur. Last Tuesday, maybe? Last Tuesday, you received a message coming from the board saying that they were excited to announce that Merging Waters Unitarian Universalist Congregation was the finalist from the name choice voting process. I have our dear Byron here who will share a little bit since he was the grand poobah of the name choice task force who led us fearlessly through this process, to talk a bit about the process and how you're feeling about how it went.
Okay. All right. So, first of all, on behalf of the task force, thank you all for your thoughtful and lively and zesty participation over the last 2+ years. Um, we did a great thing. We achieved 70 to 75% voter participation. When was the last time you heard of that? 57 voters in vote 1, 61 in vote 2. All told, you all gave us 1,700 data points. In my work, 20 is plenty. You can define any distribution with 20 points. You gave us 1,700. I know more about all of you than any of you know about yourselves. I'm not going to share it with anybody, but I do. Look at what you did in terms of scoring. When we had 72 names, we asked for 5. On average, you gave us 16. When we had 22 names, we asked for 5. On average, you gave us 6. It's the same ratio. It's the same ratio. You followed directions. Thank you. Um, so, my conclusion from everything I've seen since we started voting is that star voting worked as we intended. It allowed each of us to express our sincere level of support for as many names as we wanted to without doing any harm to any other name or theme of names. Everything was able to work out freely and sincerely, and we successfully narrowed it down to one name. And you can see by this plot that our last ballot was a good one because we clearly defined the top finishers and then it tapered down to very low support. So we left nobody out of the final vote. All themes were well represented, no control on our part on the outcome of the election. It was all you guys. So hats off.
So, as you may recall, this last vote was about the unique name. And prior to that, we had voted that we wanted it to be Unitarian Universalist, not one or the other, and that we wanted it to be congregation versus church or community or something else. So, as we discussed in a board executive team meeting or some meeting, I don't know what, where Lynn was present, she got a little nervous about all these words, feeling that that's a mouthful. So as she shared her concern, I went online and just looked at some other congregations that had unique names and then Unitarian Universalist congregation. Katie, can you hit that slide?
Yes, I didn't want to do it prematurely.
I appreciate that. So as you can see, other congregations have figured out ways to get their unique name out there, and the Unitarian Universalist congregation. We are super, super lucky to have Colleen on staff, who really is a professional design person. So she will listen to what we're doing today, and we will hold a kind of congregational conversation. I don't know whether it'll be in person or online, where we'll pose a couple questions and hear what comes out of your mouth so we can start to create some marketing materials. But she really is, it's kind of interesting to have somebody who's inside and outside at the same time, because she catches things and elevates them in a way that I think those of us who are so close to our congregation don't see. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what she does with that. So what we thought we would do today is really just start with the question, how's it sitting? How are you doing? How's it sitting with you? And Roger is right here. He already had his hand up, so I think he's quite ready. So this isn't, this can be, I'm mad, I'm happy, this is what this inspires me. It can be anything. This is an open forum, and we really want to hear from everybody, and we want to hear really how you're feeling. So, Roger.
Yes, I must admit I had a different choice that I was strongly in favor of, and merging waters gave me a kind of a confused feeling, and the only thing I could think of is super rainstorms due to climate change is how all the waters merge. So when I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, well, a number of our people found something that they liked in merging waters. I think it was spiritual currents that they sensed in it. And if they could share that, that would help me develop a spiritual connection with this. And even further, that's important for all of us, and I think particularly for me, not to just ignore it because I didn't like it, to learn to have a better sense of it.
Super. Thank you. I just wanted you to keep the mic near your.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Pass it on?
Yep.
This is Kathy, she, her. First of all, thanks so much to the task force, because I know you worked really, really hard. And as a political scientist, governance one, the STAR voting system is absolutely fascinating. And as we're rewriting the UUA bylaws, I might suggest they try that. As I've mentioned, the name really doesn't do anything for me. To me, it feels like we're having all our unique identities and we're merging them into one thing, and that is not, to me, what Unitarian Universalism is all about. And that said, and with all due respect to our founders, Marty, I think it's a better name than for the contemporary era than Michael Servetus. I don't think the congregation should spend any more time on the name. I think we really need to just make a decision and move on. And so while I might not vote for it, I won't vote against it.
Yes, I'm Marty, she, her, and one of the founding members who actually loves the name Michael Servetus. I was the person, I think, that suggested it in the beginning. And so I've not been one who's wanted to change it, but now it's going to be changed, and so I'm not, I feel like we should just move on. I'm not going to dwell on this, and so it'll be fine.
Thank you.
Lynn, she, her. I like the name Merging Waters because for me, I get this visual picture of streams and rivers coming together, and it speaks to me to one of our values, which is mindful interdependence, that choice to rely upon one another, to depend on one another, and to share our values. So for me, Merging Waters really has a lot of meaning, and a meaning that matters quite a lot.
Well, I'm Jamie. I don't identify with it yet, and I love Roger's suggestion that we hear from the people who loved it. So.
Hi, Marie. Excuse me, she, her. I did vote for it. It was really interesting because the second vote, there was another one I decided I liked too, which surprised me because I really just thought, no, Merging Waters is it. But anyhow, I like it because I don't see it as making us all be one, coming together. I think it's different people in different places coming together, being able to share their differences, and then going out again, maybe they're changing their minds. And that's kind of, I didn't change my name, I still changed the name, I liked it, but I was really surprised near the end that there was another one that I liked too. So I see it as a coming together, but being able to go out and change your mind, come back in, go back out. Maybe that's not the best way to say it, but that's how I see it.
Kai, they, them. I have what I would call name change fatigue. And at this point, if there's consensus, I wouldn't say I don't care, but I'm just like, you know what? A name is a name, and this is a safe place, and that's how I feel about this place, whatever we call it.
This is David, he, him. I remember when I was in PhD seminars, classmates would say about me behind my back, I hope that David speaks today because he can find something good to say about everything. And so I'm not like super excited about Merging Waters. I think it's an evocative name. I like it. And maybe I will be the person who will figure out how could I write a song about merging waters or a poem about merging waters that would lift up some of the things that I hear other people saying about this. I think there are good things in it.
Okay, I want to say one more thing. Is that okay? About this, like it took a long time, 2.5 years, etc. But what if we had just done it in a couple months? I think we would have people that would be just so upset, and I think it would have failed. Maybe it took a little too long, but if we had rushed it, it would have failed, just to let you know. That's what I think.
Hi, I just want to second about the committee because I think they did a superb job. They're a model for how to interact with the congregation, how to communicate. It was just fabulous.
Yes.
And working with Byron and yeah, it was great.
Deb, she, her pronouns. The name doesn't really resonate with me, but I've been appreciating listening to the comments for the people who really, find that name to be something that they're passionate about. So I just want to keep listening and understanding more about why that name so resonates, and great to see, and the committee did a fantastic job, and great to see how much of consensus there is behind that name. I appreciate all the data, so thank you.
Sawyer, he, him. When I first received the email announcing the name change, my initial thought was, or initial emotion really, was one of being mildly underwhelmed, but not dislike. The second thought I had was for I think it's in the fall, we do that ritual where we merge the waters that everyone brings from their summer vacations into the one vessel, which was kind of an interesting thought to, pass through my head. And perhaps that ritual resonates with some people in the congregation more than others. I'm not sure if that's what drew so many of many to gravitate and to vote for that name. I'm not sure. It's a fine name overall. I think a lot of the work we do and a lot of other things we do, regardless of the name, will continue. I will not vote against it by any means, so I probably will vote in favor. It is a very regionally appropriate name. We have two major rivers that intersect in the Twin Cities, Minnesota and Mississippi, and very close to the St. Croix, so it does reflect our environment well. But I'm not as thrilled, I guess, as I was hoping to be, but our work and more important things will continue. And thank you again to the committee as well for doing this 2-year marathon of getting this in place.
Hi, I'm Jan, she, her. I like the name and I will vote for it, and I just want to remind people we haven't made a decision yet. That happens at the annual meeting. Partly I like it because it evokes the confluence of rivers. It evokes the merging of the waters ritual. And I also think about, you know, the drops of rain filling the bucket and the water cycle, and that, and maybe this speaks to what Marie was talking about. You know, water comes and goes. It you know, flows to the river, it evaporates, it becomes rain, it comes back. I also think a new name is what we need for this point in time, especially thinking about people who are not familiar with the congregation, or Unitarian Universalist theology. I think it expresses more what Unitarian Universalism is today versus a Unitarian martyr, where you have to explain the theology of 500 years ago of the denomination. So that's a lot of talking. So I will pass it on to Bruce.
Hi, I'm Bruce, he, him. My one concern with the name is it sounds more like we have we're more interested in the outdoors, I'm trying to think, the environment, yeah. I would rather see it, if we're going to use that name, somehow we need to bring it out to the purchasers, not within us who have already purchased. But how do we get the outside people who are looking for a church to tie into it? And my idea in this, my thought is, we have people who come from Methodist Church, Catholic, Jewish, unchurched, people who are Christian Unitarian, people who are various branches of Unitarian. And if this name is going to work, that's how I see it working. How can we draw the various ideas of our people into this? Not so much the geographic rivers, because people come in wondering, what's that about? But if we can really let the people know that we do not come with one brain. We are not the lake. We are the people who come into it to make the church. All your thoughts, your ideas, we tie together. And with that, I can see if we can use that idea, I can really get into this thing. If we go with the rivers flowing, I'm afraid that I'm looking at business background, the purchasers, the consumers are not going to catch on that well. So that's my thought.
I'm Joey, she, her. I'm actually impartial to the name. It's fine. It's, you know, other people I feel strongly or against it. But I would come no matter what it's called here. You know, I mean, like, I feel great. I love this congregation. So I'm happy that everybody's taking the time to express their feelings about it.
Polly, she, her, or whatever. Maybe I'm the only one, I'm so freaking delighted.
Me too.
I love everything about this name, and I know she gave it up. What's the name of the gal?
Oh, Jen.
Jen came up with it. And as soon as I heard it, something went ping. I don't think a name change is going to change who we are already. I don't think it's capable of doing that. We're all very strong people in our service, what we want to be like to each other. I am grateful to the founders. I think when you guys did this, it was a little different time, and you needed somebody that was a trailblazer, a martyr, somebody who said, F you, you know, we're gonna do this, you know?
Marty's lighting up.
And what a purpose that has served for us for so many years. I was actually glad to see Michael Servetus come in second. When we started this process, I was on the name committee, and I didn't last very long. My emotional health just suffered. I don't deal with conflict well. But I remember the first couple meetings, and we discussed at length what the worst case scenario would be. And I remember very clearly it was if we lose people. No name change would be worth losing people. And yes, there has been some separation. And yes, I think there are some hard feelings. But I'm also grateful to those members who stayed on that name choice committee and took it, yes, very slow. I don't care. I don't care how long it took. As long as nobody leaves us, it's okay. Whoop, that was her. Okay. All right, I'll shut up.
I'm Anna. I use she, her pronouns. I do resonate with the name. I think I've always had a strong attachment to water in general. I went to a high school named Watershed. I think there's a lot of really good imagery that comes with the name and metaphor that can come from the name and story that can come from the name. Not that some of the other names didn't have the same thing. I am having grown up in a church with a very conventional church name, I'm glad we sort of got a bit more creative than, First Church of blank or, Northwest, I don't know, words that just identify the location. I also, aside from that, even if I didn't resonate with the name, I really trust the process we went through. I really, really feel strongly that this all of you, the process, I trust the process. I think it's good it took so long. I think it's good that we're done with it because it means that it took the right amount of time, right? Like Marie, like you were saying, if we moved really fast, people wouldn't be able to catch up, wouldn't have been brought along, and there wouldn't have been as much intention and thoughtfulness. So I think it's actually a good sign that we're kind of bored with the process or just done with the process because it means we're ready to be done with the process. But I really, really strongly trust, even if I did not like the name, if it was a different name with those results, that speaks volumes to me.
Can you hand it to Sam?
Hi, I'm Sam. Words. That's what we're talking about. Names, they come and go. Words come and go. People think about them. Sorry, people wave microphones. People.
Take your other hand. Take your other hand out of your pocket. And talk.
There you go.
Anyway, so we're talking about words and names and what do they mean. When I came here, Michael Servetus, what it meant to me, or MSUS, or whatever, what it meant to me was that I could take my kids to a place where they would have some exposure to spirituality, to community, to the things that go on here. Michael Servetus, yeah, well, who is he? I've never heard that word before. I don't know. I'm interested in historical things, so read the book and found out about him and why he was significant, why it was picked, why they picked that name because of his well, giving people a different idea and going against the grain at that time. Anyway, so those are all things that meaning comes out of it. And so I think that this new name, that maybe we can think of associations that we use, they're all words. It's continuing on doing what we do, and we will give it that meaning. And then merging waters, it will become something that this group has accomplished.
Byron, Chad, Katie, you guys want to talk?
Oh, yeah. I didn't do 2
Oh, and then
years.
we're going to do the online people.
I didn't do 2 years for nothing. Obviously, I feel strongly about this. The name Merging Waters resonates with me very much. You are all marvelously different people. Oh my God. I love coming here. There are people here who could not be more different than me. That's why I'm here. Oh my gosh. Just look at you. Just look at who is here. Every week, we merge. We're just sacks of water. We merge. We merge. If you don't realize you're a sack of water, you need to do some research. Look, we merge here every week. We come together with a common purpose. What is it? I'll tell you. We come here to support each other. Through a set of customs and rituals that we go through, we see each other, we ask how we're doing, we make eye contact, we connect. We are a village. We are a dispersed village. We merge together every week. We bring our lives, our past experiences, our joys, our sorrows, our talents. We bring them here. Now a bit on the downer side. And Marty, bless your heart.
Yeah.
What I need to help you understand as gently as I can is I cannot talk about Michael Servetus to any of my contemporaries. My contemporaries have been completely alienated by American Christianity. They can't stand the idea of the Trinity. They care even less about the unity. So a conversation indefinitely in a brew pub goes like this. Well, what is the name of your church? Michael Servetus Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Come again? What was that? Michael Servetus. Okay, their phone is out. They're typing. How do you spell Servetus? So you spell it for them. Up comes their thing. So that's you're leading your name with that. Okay, why? Well, he's a martyr. What did he martyr himself for? The unity versus the Trinity. So you guys are all about the unity? Trying to combat the Trinity and Christianity? No, that's not what we're about at all. It never comes up. So you led your new name with that? Why? It doesn't go anywhere to speaking who we are and why we show up here. It just doesn't. So it can't be described. It's very hard to discuss it. That's why I volunteered to try this. And if it fails, it fails. You're all still beautiful people. I will look forward to seeing you every week. Zero regrets if this doesn't pass. We tried. But I just hope that those of you who picked the name in the beginning can understand what an impediment it is to use it to describe who we are now. It is so hard because of, the way American society has changed in 50 years. And frankly, the behavior of American Christians has done all that damage. It's just a fact.
Okay, we're moving to we're gonna move to online. Katie, can we move to online? So let's start with Janice. I see Janice and then Kathy. Wait 1 sec, we're getting the sound up. Janice, we don't hear you yet.
That's because
You know
I
the
haven't
drill.
said
We still
anything
don't
yet.
hear you.
Hello?
Just a sec.
Sound check.
We're still not hearing you, Janice.
Purple sound check.
Oh, I think she doesn't know, can't hear me.
Pink sound check.
Oh, there you go. You're doing this.
Michael Servetus sound check.
You're good. You're good, Janice.
Okay. People can hear me, I hope. Okay. I will go forward. I kind of wish that Byron had gone last because I think he summed up so much of everything that I've been feeling. But the first thought out of my mind was, this is not a done deal. We still have to vote on it. And we need to live with the consequences of what our vote is. The next thing that came to my mind was, how does merging waters fit into the idea of the Article 2 amendment, which one group online or at one church has called jet pig, because that's how you can remember what the different ideas are. So I looked at justice. Merging waters doesn't really talk about justice. Equity. That's where I think merging waters really stands out, because when you have merging waters, there is no this river is better, that lake is better. You're merging everything together. Transformation. Yeah, merging waters transforms. It takes several things and transforms them, makes them different. Pig. Okay, P, pluralism. We have a river, we have a lake, we have a pond. We have all the water that we gather on our trips coming together. So I'd say that's pluralism. Pig, interdependence. We all depend on water, and water kind of depends on us. And generosity. Well, I think generosity might be a little tougher about but it's the merging part, being generous of spirit. And so that was kind of my first thought. The next thought I had was that whatever we choose, however we choose to do it, on our web, we need to talk about our history and explain why we were Michael Servetus for all these years. We need to really have a good history that includes whatever name we have. And I think that whatever history we have out on our website currently, if we stick with our old name, we really need to put that into the history and tie it to those things, keeping it there together. And I think we also need to remind everyone that no matter what name we have going forward after the May meeting, that at our center is love. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Kathy.
Yeah, I think it's great that the original name was Michael Servetus. I mean, the man was amazing. The organization has been amazing. I think I wouldn't, and that's the organization that I joined, but I don't think I would have joined if I hadn't known people already in the organization, because I might have wondered if it was a cult, just with that name. You know, it's hard to explain. So I like the idea of history. It wasn't my first vote for Merging Waters. I chose Beacon because it was short and sweet. But my other choices were all water related because of water moving, of water's power. And yeah, there is some justice in water as well. Water together, drops of water come together, they mess with rocks. They form the Grand Canyon. And there's actually a Meg Christian song, The Rock Will Wear Away, talking about drops of water. And so I think we could use that as well. If the vote leaves us with Michael Servetus, I'd be okay with that. I think it might hurt us in bringing in new people, but and even though Merging Waters wasn't my first choice, I will vote for that because I think that is the better choice.
Thank you, Kathy. Can we do Liz, Stephanie, and then Rob?
I have a terrible cold, but I want you to hear my voice anyway, because I think it's important. When it came to voting for the name, the specific name, I asked my kids. This is the name that both of them chose. And so they definitely felt moved by it. I like the name. I love the merging water ritual, and I do find it very centered in actually justice because we come together as little bits of water into a jug of water, and we can do more, putting all of our bits of water together into that huge pitcher and use it for all of our rituals. I just love the ritual. So it speaks to me. But I also do think it is very important, and I believe that Merging Waters name will bring more people, more visitors. I think it's our way forward for the next 50 years.
Thank you, Liz. So Stephanie, Rob, and then Beth. Okay, Rob and then Beth.
I came and joined this church a year ago, and I honestly had to Google Michael Servetus. It's not obvious. And so we have a church proposal called Breaking Waters. And I think there's obviously the first Sunday after Labor Day, and that could be a grand festival for us as we bring waters together. I think along where people come from who join this church, there was a grander beginning of the Mississippi River, which only gets grander because all kinds of things flow into it. From up in Maple Grove and Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park and Fridley and New Brighton and other places, I think there is a sense that we have some geographic presence also as part of that. And I think that the larger issue of the coming together of Unitarians and Universalists, which is still not a singular religious history. I think Breaking Waters is important to reflect that. I came here from Unitarian. And if you want to talk about unity, what's unity mean? It's kind of like, well, I don't know. So we're not the only church that has, we got First Unitarian, First Universalist, all sorts and conditions of names that don't have a whole lot of meaning. But to me, Breaking Waters is a very active name. It's something we can build on for our coming together events. So that's why I liked Breaking Waters.
Thank you, Rob. So we'll do Beth and then Lois and Ali.
I'm trying.
We hear you.
Yes, I voted for Merging Waters. I like the idea of a bit of grounding us in the natural world, but even more the metaphor of coming together. For we humans, coming together is, or should be at least, as natural as that of merging waters. We need to work on that. And I think Byron probably said it better than I will here, but we who are all so unique as individuals come together and are welcoming and lovingly accepting of all others. And hopefully this name will help us convey that. And thanks, Jen, for the idea, and thanks, team, for all your work. But I too am ready to move on.
Thank you, Beth. Lois and Ali. We're seeing the ceiling of somebody's iPad. They're trying to. There we see you now, Ali. No, you don't want to speak? Oh, maybe Lois is. We don't hear anything as you're
Okay.
speaking. Oh, now we hear you.
Okay, sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Wonderful. I voted for merging waters. Water is very important to me. It's probably central to me. I honestly found the name Michael Servetus to be a bit stuffy, but what was even more difficult for me in the past to get over with get over was the label of society that felt very classist to me, rightly or wrongly. That's just the way it hit me. So if when we vote during the annual meeting, it would come up as Michael Servetus, knowing that we're now we will be the congregation versus society, I would be able to deal with that better. But still, I very much support merging waters. I strongly feel that it's all of us as individual droplets coming together and choosing to be together with the greater whole. Thanks.
Thank you. Ali, do you want to share?
Yep.
I found Michael Servetus to be off-putting. Well, why would you choose a name that everybody has to look up somewhere in order to figure out what the heck is this group? And some of you found something about Unitarian in that. What I saw was that evangelical churches claim Michael Servetus too. And I thought, oh, I'm not sure that I want to be part of that. As for merging waters, we've already listed several things that fit us about it, whether it's our autumn ritual or the location that we're in or the way it speaks of nature. I think I think this name gives us room to grow. I think we will find other meaning in it as time goes on. And I like that challenge. So I'm really enjoying the beginning of merging waters and where are we going to go with this? That's all.
Thank you, Ollie. Is there anybody else online? Katie's coming. We got it. Okay, Katie.
Feels like there are so many, so many things that people have already said. I've just noticed in thinking of this name that I almost feel like a lightness in terms of thinking of if I'm going to introduce myself as from Merging Waters Unitarian Universalist congregation, although it's very wordy and has way too many syllables. Can't get rid of some of them. I feel like I'm just less likely to be plunged into a theological debate that is not so important to me at this time. Merging Waters, like Ali was saying, it feels very open, and I can see a lot of possible imagery and ways to tie it to our values individually and as Unitarian Universalists.
For my 2 cents worth, I just think about like this time in the world where people are so isolated and lonely. So I like the idea of merge. There's a coming together that this calls out to me. I like there's a beauty in the name that I like. It makes me feel peaceful. I did, just so you guys know, I did talk to Jim Bear Jacobs, who's the person who runs the Sacred Sites Tour, just to make sure it wasn't like treading on indigenous imagery. And he's like, you have my full blessing, Laura. Sounds great. So, and I had talked a little bit about the ritual. I do want to just say that to me, this is only my own little pet peeve with the merging water. It's not water from vacations. It's just water that has meaning for us. In the past, no. It's just because in the past it really did become a vacation travel log and it left out people who didn't get to go to fabulous places. So part of what I love about this is half the time it's from their tap or from a grandparent's house or, that it's, or your what? Their lap pool. There you go. Yeah. So it's really like it to me, it gives people at the beginning of the year to talk about meaning, about grounding, about connection. So it's really, I think it's a beautiful service and it's a ritual. I love to hear what people have to share because it's never the same. And the only other thing I just want to add is I think about this time in interfaith work and that to have a name that doesn't necessarily, it's not a heretical, it's not about a heretic who was fighting with Calvin. It's about just this beautiful image, But Marty, I totally get, as I've sort of read about the history of this church, I mean, you guys were heroic to even start a church in this area. And I think, like, to me, that name has a lot of power for what was happening over 50 years ago. So I just really want to honor that. I think it's important. I think it was probably really important kids knew about that. And I do, I think for better or worse, it feels different. It's still, don't get me wrong, there's still Anoka and, terrible things going on. And there are people who are looking for this place who perhaps don't have any sense of this religious controversy. Chad, I saw you move forward. Are you coming over here? Okay. Oh, yeah.
Hold on. People can't hear you, Marty. Wait. People can't hear you.
When we started, we were all humanists. We didn't come from a variety of churches like you were saying, Bruce, Methodists and Catholics and whatnot. We were all humanists from the first Unitarian Society. So,
I have two quick comments. Whatever the name ends up being, we should be able to say why it's that name. We don't really talk about why Michael Servetus it has been the name. And if that's what we keep, let's make it, what is the reason for that? And Merging Waters, the same thing. I think we need to, if this is who we are, why this? And I've heard a few people concerned about how many syllables it is and how that might be off-putting. I have been in some conversation with the minister at Minnesota Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, which has even more syllables, I believe, or at least as many. And they got 30 new members in the last year, so I don't think the number of syllables is a problem.
Katie, can you put on the slide just over with the next steps? So what's next is that on May 14th, we'll have the annual meeting at Pilgrim House and online. The text for the vote will say, we, the members of Michael Servetus Unitarian Society, shall change the name of our congregation to Merging Waters Unitarian Universalist Congregation, and you will vote yes to approve the motion to change the name or vote no to reject the motion to change the name. And that this action, we've said, needs to have 75% or more of the people who are at the meeting voting to change it. Yes, Anna. Yeah, if we vote no and the motion doesn't pass, we remain, yes. So if we vote no, we keep our current name. You're either saying yes to the new name or we keep our name. Kathy has her hand up.
Okay, this is a parliamentary procedure question, and I ask it because it came up during General Assembly a couple years ago. Are abstentions going to be counted in the denominator? The parliamentarian for the UUA, after we had already, so the moderator squad at General Assembly a few years ago, we decided that since an abstention is really, I'm not taking a position, we wouldn't count them. And so a particular motion had passed, I guess, or failed. I don't remember which now. But then the parliamentarian did a little more research. She's a judge out in Connecticut somewhere, and decided that no, Robert's rules say that abstentions are part of the vote total, which of course changes the outcome. So we need to know this in advance. I have an opinion. It's that abstentions are not a position, and to count them as though then effectively there were a no vote, it just kind of goes against the idea of what an abstention is all about. Unless our bylaws say we have to use Robert's rules, the board gets to decide, but I'd suggest the board make that clear in advance so that anyone wanting to abstain knows whether or not they're really going to be counted as a no.
That's why we keep you around, Kathy. Thank you. No, and I remember with the building vote, my understanding was that an abstention was a no. Yep. So that's how we were presuming. Yeah. So, yeah, the board has a meeting on Tuesday, so we will bring that up. I super appreciate it. Let me just do the next, what? Yeah, so you're trying to get yeah. We'll talk, that's my next slide. Yep. So at the February board meeting, they adopted a policy establishing a higher level of participation. This is the one that mirrored when we were selling our building and when we wanted to buy a building. So normally the quorum is 40% of the membership. And oh, I'm going to have Katie come talk about this because I've already gotten it wrong.
For the for the annual meeting and per our bylaws, for any meeting except for meetings about buying and selling property and calling a minister, our quorum is 20%. 20% is for our normal annual meeting, and the bylaws, again, except for buying or selling property and calling a minister, our bylaws don't call out anything special. And to go along with that 20% quorum, a vote needs to be a simple majority, 51%. So the board would like this vote for the name choice to establish a new name or not, but to establish a new name, to have a 40% quorum and a 75% vote count. This will be kind of the single, it's for the vote within the meeting But so 40% quorum right now, we have 84 members. So 34 people, I think, is what I calculated for a 40% quorum. Just in the past, this gets me 34. This gets me always really nervous, but every single vote where we've needed a big quorum, we've exceeded the quorum. So although I'm nervous every time before one of these meetings, everybody always comes through, and even more than we need show up. So I hope that's true for this annual meeting as well. Yeah, 75% of the people present. That's the way it works, though. But I mean, that's just generally how if we establish a quorum, that's why we want a higher quorum. So we don't want it to be just 20% of the people present. We don't have anything established at the moment, but as noted, we have a board meeting, so we might have to take that up. But we'll take votes from Zoom. But I mean, our policy, we've been working right now from kind of a trust in the congregation that as many people as can show up, and hopefully this quorum and the 75% ends up representing the congregation, because it gets very, very complicated to take absentee votes. That's a possibility. I think that would be a possibility, but not necessarily. Yeah.
Katie, yeah. Katie, can you just switch to the next slide? So the only last thing I want to tell you is that the vote adopting the name change authorizes the change in the bylaws and the articles of incorporation, amendments to ownership, other documents and contracts that need to have incorporate a new name, the board of trustees and officers to make amendments to or designate the minister or other staff members to carry out these changes where appropriate. That's the fun stuff. And then the next slide, Katie. So just saying, if it's adopted, we will hold a time in the next month where we will kind of explore what it means internally and externally. Colleen, our office manager and communications manager, will take what she hears and starts to develop materials. And Katie, next one. If the name is not adopted, then we're going to hold a session of the congregation, and we're going to revisit Michael Servetus Unitarian Society and discuss how the name relates to who we are today and what messages we want to give the external world. So there's a plan for a next step either way. I think that is it for now. Anybody have any other questions or comments before we close? I really appreciate you coming. I think there was, even though, you really kind of go through the line, there were people who are like, It feels like by the time we got to the end, there is just a little bit more of a settling in this. So I really appreciate you coming. We will have it online for folks. So if somebody wasn't here, please let them know that. Liz, what would you like to say?
I'm sorry. Is it possible to go back a few slides again and just and go over one more time what we are voting on? Because I heard some confusion when people were giving comments. Sure. What a yes vote means and what a no vote means. I want people to be 100%.
Yes. The yes vote is to approve the motion to change the name, and the no vote is to reject the motion to change the name. Debbie, I did see you traveling. Do you want to unmute and talk, or are you traveling and just listening? Oh, she spoke here. You spoke here. Never mind. You just are picking up the end of the conversation. All right, so here we go, guys. We're getting closer to a finish line, so way to go. Once again, thank you, all of you, for coming. Sawyer, thank you for being service leader today, and we'll see you all next week.